some breaking news, and it comes courtesy of a tweet by J.J. Watt. He tweeted out a picture of his wife, Kelia, and his child, Koa, and then a family picture as well with he and his mother, and I believe his father. The tweet reads, Koa's first NFL game, my last ever NFL home game. My heart is filled with nothing but love and gratitude. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure. Read between the lines, J.J. Watt announced his retirement with a couple of games left to go for the Arizona Cardinals this season. And what a career. 3-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year, all right here in Houston. 5 times first-team All-Pro, second-team All-Pro twice, a 5-time Pro Bowler, member of the 2010 All-Decade team, Walter Payton Man of the Year winner after raising millions for Houston following Hurricane Harvey. First reaction to this, it is a bummer that he is not doing this here. It really is. It's one of the worst parts about the last couple of seasons is that Bill O'Brien made it intolerable for J.J. Watt to the point where Watt asked out and got out. But I want to focus on the positives. This is the best defensive player I've ever seen firsthand. And I know that there are a lot of other players that we're going to think back at historically as far as who's the best defensive player ever. I know Aaron Donald is giving Watt a run for his money this past decade. Lawrence Taylor, a lot of people will bring his name up. Reggie White. There have been tons of great defensive players over the course of the NFL's history. But this was the first nationally relevant player for a Houston Texans franchise that for most of its history has been desperately clawing for any sort of relevance. And I know for some it was a tad insufferable, this Midwestern Captain America routine that it appeared J.J. Watt was just constantly in the midst of. You always wanted him to be a little bit more real. But I do think that over the course of his career, he did open up a little bit more. And I also think that this was actually just who he was. Sometimes people actually are good. It can be difficult for a skeptic like myself, a cynic like myself, to look at that at face value and say, yeah, this is all 100% authentic. And of course, there was a little bit of corniness with J.J. Watt. We all remember that Hard Knocks scene with Fort Minor playing in the background where he's pushing a tire across the field and working long after practice with no lights on the field, going up against a blocking sled. There was always a little bit of that with Watt, but this guy was incredible. I mean, the first great moment in this franchise's history, the one that plays in this city, was J.J. Watt intercepting an Andy Dalton pass in the Texans' first ever playoff game that brought the house down at NRG Stadium. It was so loud after he got that pick six. I am bummed out that is one of the few Texans games I actually was not in attendance for. But that was simply the best moment in franchise history. I don't think there's anything else that you could really point to. There was still excitement. The city had not gotten to the point where they are at right now, where I think a lot of people just don't want to hear about him. But J.J. Watt retiring, and what a career it was. You do wonder what could have been had the injuries not taken their toll, but I'm assuming that's one of the reasons that Watt is making the decision. I would assume the other reason is as well that the Arizona Cardinals, oh boy, it's been a rough year.
That's what bums me out the most. That J.J. Watt, his last 2 years, he was wasting his time on the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
The Bills or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
even the Packers, he at least would have had one meaningful year.
And it would be his home. You're right, Sean. Had he retired in Green Bay,
Literally went to a retirement destination, Arizona.
Well, I mean, I have no problem with going to Arizona, Scottsdale, but we're also talking about not single J.J. Watt. We're talking about father J.J. Watt.
Yes, and you're also not one of the greatest defensive players of all time.
Well, I don't know. I think we
in
could.
NFL history.
Thank you. Small,
single A,
whatever our district was,
Florida,
in the Shorecrest Preparatory School Chargers. Listen, you'll find my name in the first team all district rankings. J.J. Watt and I have a lot in common. But J.J. Watt retiring, it is interesting just to go back to the beginning of his time with the Texans. Everyone was so pissed when he got drafted. Remember the 2011 NFL draft? I mean, that moment went viral. The pick of J.J. Watt being booed. And, I mean, if you take a look at that 2011 draft, Cam Newton, first overall, Von Miller, second overall. Those picks worked out pretty well. Go down a little bit further. A.J. Green, Patrick Peterson, Julio Jones, Aldon Smith, the name that the Texans were linked to, Tyron Smith with the Dallas Cowboys, still in the league. The top of that draft was a very good one. So to get somebody as good as J.J. Watt at that 11th spot was a godsend for the Texans. And it is where they officially flipped the script and became a playoff team. Like, that moment in time signifies a change from the previous decade of Texans football, which, of course, was, I guess, what you would expect from an expansion football team. I know it's a little bit different with what you'd seen the previous decade with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who made it to the AFC Championship game their second year of existence. I think the Carolina Panthers, they made it to the NFC Championship game their second year of existence, but they also, I think, were 8-8, maybe 9-7 their first ever year. Like, those two teams, they got the ball rolling a little bit more quickly. It took the Texans a while. It's taken the Texans a while probably to get back to that phase. But, I mean, this is the most important player in the Texans' history. I do hope that whatever sour feelings he might have had towards the organization, very merited ones, can be forgotten, and that this guy is maybe not a Houston institution going forward. I don't know that he's going to move back to Houston, but I do hope that this is a guy that makes his face shown here from time to time. I think that this fan base does very much appreciate everything that Watt did for this city. And, man, it's a bummer. This is a guy who, do a little math here, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 21, 22. So we're talking about an 11, 12-year career? And I think that's a damn good one. It's a bummer that we're probably going to see more players like this, specifically on the defensive side of things, that maybe walk away a little bit earlier. We've seen it, of course, at the linebacker position, all those guys on the 49ers, Patrick Willis, Chris Borland, among others. But the guy had an incredible career. So the question I have for you, 713-780-3776, 713-780-ESPN on the most interactive sports talk show in Houston, is this: your favorite J.J. Watt memory? You can't say him getting booed at the NFL draft. You can't say that. Not today. But it's a bummer, man. It's a bummer that he retired. But I'm happy for him. I'm happy that he feels comfortable walking away. It's just a bummer that he didn't do it here. If we're talking about a lifetime Houston athlete, no one, I think, over the course of the past decade that hasn't played for the Houston Astros deserves it more than Watt. The chance to have played this entire career here. And of course, the Texans just made it so untenable here for him that he was like, please let me go.